But I want to get granular about what I mean by what curses these stories, AKA customer testimonials, can break. I want to get granular about what wealth these stories, AKA customer testimonials, can build. And I want to get granular about what gaps these stories, AKA customers' testimonials, can bridge. So when we talk about these curses being broken, definition of a curse, two of them. A solemn utterance intended to invoke a supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something. So a curse inflicts harm or punishment. A curse is also a coarse or blasphemous word or phrase used to express anger or other strong emotion. So curses inflict harm or punishment, or they express anger or other strong emotions. And part of what I wonder is, if we are not identifying or having critical conversations with the customer that we're supposed to be serving, no wonder why some of our businesses are experiencing harm or punishment from the same people we seek to serve or our competitors. If we're not having consistent conversations with our customers, gathering this data to be able to identify patterns, to understand who it is we're supposed to be serving, no wonder why it can be frustrating trying to make it make sense and sensational impact all across the senses. Because what does a story do but break down those things from happening? Now, more specifically, from a social perspective, we understand generational curses, right? And anybody here trying to break generational curses? Of course, we all trying to break generational curses. However, let's bring it back to our brands or our businesses. And let's have a critical conversation about what kinds of curses might be wanting to break there. And I'd say one of the curses that we have to yearn to break is a cycle of dissatisfied customers. And that may not apply to everybody in the room or nobody in this room, because we're all thebomb.com hustlers and superstars. But as Black entrepreneurs, I don't know, a day doesn't go by where someone doesn't complain to me about the Black-owned business that they've engaged with, because they showed up this, and they looked like this, and they sounded like that, right? These are cycles of dissatisfied customers that even if we don't have dissatisfied customers, we ourselves have to push back and fight against the narrative that we have cycles of dissatisfied customers. I don't know if this is going to trigger anything for anybody from last unit, but something I said here when I talk about the cycle of dissatisfied customers, what does that look like? Lack of effective communication skills, lack of satisfactory customer service, lack of evidence for proven value, or lack of direction or strategy. This term lack, is that triggering anything for anybody?
I think that can be described as a lot of the Black experience sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lack to resources that we need to survive and or thrive. But even with that, a lot of people have managed to escape that and still thrive, but that doesn't mean you should have to.
That's good. Anybody else? This connects back to a very, very specific conversation we had in the last unit. This conversation about lack.
I've experienced a lack of intentionality with some Black businesses where they had a superb interest in the monetary part of it,
Mm-hmm.
and then when the service was delivered, I could tell there was no intention of what we needed the service for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Come on, you got it.
I'm so scared.
Wait, why you, hold on. It's a safe space, why you scared?
Because I'm like, if you have good notes, you can search a word, and I was like, I don't know if my handwriting is legible enough for it to search for the word lack. Was it part of the 4 steps to profit?
Yes!
find the lack, which is effectiveness, access, supply, and purpose.
So hold on. Let me rock with you. You said, what was the first one?
Effectiveness,
Lack of effective communication skills,
access,
lack of satisfactory customer service,
supply,
lack of evidence for proven value,
and purpose.
lack of direction or strategy. Another word being,
This was easy.
come on, sister, you better.
Not like this was easy, but like the acronym.
Yes.
That's
Yes. Yes.
the P is like, what's your why? That's how we make it.
EASY. So let's connect the dots. Thank you so much. Can we give her a hand clap? So watch this. Problems exist and persist in spaces that lack. But the beauty in leveraging the power in our story as an asset is that even in spaces of lack, it's easy to fix. And I would dare to say we can fix a lot of the problems that persist in our entrepreneurial endeavors as a community if we just learn to have consistent conversations with our customer. And we can start that conversation with these testimonials. Because the issue here ain't about doing business. We're doing business. And we're doing a lot of business, which is part of the reason why the complaints hit different. Because when you work so hard and for so long, just for someone to walk out of the door and have something negative to say, took you 2 months to book the room, took you 6 weeks to figure out what you're going to say inside of the room, and then still got something to say. So let's have some critical conversations, all right? So that's about the curses we're looking to break. Thank you so much. That was so satisfying to me. Okay.